Today I will be taking a trip on one of Europe's most scenic railway journeys. Traveling from Serbia's capital Belgrade, in the comfort of this retro sleeping carriage, as we head into the mountainous area between Serbia and Montenegro, before the train descends down to the beach town of Bar. It's time to experience one of Europe's most scenic rail journeys. We're starting off today from one of Europe's least impressive main stations, Belgrade Center. It's just a concrete box located in a rather drab neighborhood south of the city. Anyway, let's head inside using the grand main entrance. On the positive side, they seem to be constructing some shops and building on top of it now, so hopefully that should bring some more life to the station. The stairs take you down to platform 10, which is also the main part of the station. This is where you will find the vending machines, the police, the ticket office, the toilets, and basically any services located off this platform. Serbia has been investing a bit in its railway and has recently bought 3 of these new Stadler KISS trains, which are used on domestic services up to Novi Sad. Tickets for the Belgrade to Bar sleeper train is only sold at the ticket office. They cannot be bought online, so you will have to come here. By the ticket office you will find a small cafe and an ATM. The line for the ticket office was relatively long, so do not leave it to the last minute. I bought my ticket when I was at the station earlier that day, so no need for me to queue right now. If you have the option, it's probably preferable to book a little in advance to make sure you can get your desired cabin of travel. Also note there's no catering on board this train, so make sure to stock up before you head down to the station or at the cafe. Time to find the platform. In addition to this ramp, the station also has lifts, so if you have heavy luggage you can just opt to use that instead. And here we are at platforms 6 and 7. The train looks not to be ready for boarding yet, so we'll have to fly under praise to wait for a little bit. Our train is hauled initially by a Serbian Railways Class 441, a type of train used all over the Balkans. The train uses wagons from both the Montenegrin and Serbian railway companies. On board you will both find couchettes, private cabins and seated options. And shortly afterwards the train was ready for boarding. At the rear you will find the sleeping carriages. When boarding the train there will be a small ticket check and the conductor will tell you where you will find your cabin. And here we are at my cabin, which will be the home for the next 11 hours down to Bar. It certainly ain't new, but it looks very cozy. And I really like this painting on the middle bunk. Right on time at 20 past 8, we depart Belgrade Center for a journey into the night. And now that we are on our way, let's take a look at our route. We are traveling on board night train 433 Lovćen from Belgrade Center to Bar. The train heads south from the capital in Belgrade towards the Serbian border town of Prijepolje, where we will arrive at 3 in the morning for border checks. After that the train continues over the border into Montenegro at the border town of Beljopolje for border checks on the Montenegrin side. When all that has been completed, the train continues through the mountains towards the capital of Podgorica and finally onto the Adriatic Coast where the train terminates at Bar. The train covers the 470 kilometers in 11 hours and 3 minutes, giving the train an average speed of 42 kilometers per hour. Before it's time to sleep, let's take a look at the cabin, which features a pocket next to the bed to store valuables, a cup holder. Over here you will find the call button if you need the attendant, and the light switch. And a ladder if you need access to one of the 2 other bunks, as well as a coat hook, a shelf to store our luggage on. You'll find more space for that on the other side as well. You will also find a mirror, which can be opened to storage various things in. I wouldn't trust it with my toiletries, to be honest, as it wasn't very clean. You will also find a small wash basin. Down here is what I think is the climate controls, but that didn't seem to work, so you will have to do with the window. I'll hit to bed right away, as you will be woken up at 3 AM for the border checks to exit Serbia and be ready for the great scenery as we enter Montenegro. I woke up again in Prijepolje for the border checks to leave Serbia. While it's at an inconvenient time, the checks happen on board the train, so you just stay in your cabin and they will come and check your passport. We were supposed to have completed the checks by 3 AM, but we must have picked up an hour's delay during the night somewhere. Now the train continues for another 50 minutes to reach the Montenegrin border town. And here we are at Viaduct, where we will complete the checks to enter Montenegro. Now it's time to wake up, as we will be passing through the best scenery along this route. With the checks complete, now we are ready to roll on towards Podgorica and Bar. We are now passing one of the Montenegrin Railway's new CAF trains used on regional services across the country. Also here in Belgrade-Bar, our Serbian locomotive is switched out for a Montenegrin one. Let's have a quick explore on the train. As mentioned earlier, there are 3 classes of service offered on this train: a seating car, a cochette and private sleeper. The wagons both come from the Montenegrin and Serbian railways, but are mostly second-hand from other railways in Europe. I personally slept alright in the sleeping carriage. However, due to how old they are and the nature of the curvy tracks, you will probably be waking up a few times unwanted. And now we're entering one of the cochette cars. It seemed like these had not been in use at all during the journey. Not sure if it was anything wrong with them or it's just that the train wasn't that busy. Now I would have liked to show you the rest of the train, but I wasn't prepared to disturb 10 people standing in the aisle of this carriage. However, I have some pictures for an earlier trip in a seated carriage, and some of them have been fitted with power outlets, unlike my cabin. There are no showers on board, but we can take a look at the toilet. Well, the toilet is certainly showing its age. There was soap and the water was working, but there were no paper or toilet paper, so for that reason I'm gonna have to give this one a thumbs down. But let's be honest, you're not taking this train for the facilities, but instead the amazing views. The line features 254 tunnels and 435 bridges, and was completed back in 1976. What a piece of engineering! The line has many twists and turns, and thus we have a quite low running speed of mostly 50 km per hour, but at some points of the line we can get up to about 100. As we headed south towards Bar, the clouds opened and unleashed a load of rain. Luckily the weather would be all cleared up by the time we got to Bar, and you wouldn't get dramatic low clouds like this on a sunny summer day. This bridge takes us over the European road E65 and the Tapa River. When traveling southbound, you will want to keep your eyes peeled out the window on the right side, as that's where the best views are. In addition to the train from Belgrade, local trains also run this line on the Montenegrin side up to 3 times a day. The train makes a few stops on its way. Here we are at the mountain village of Kolasin, with about 3,000 inhabitants. The town is a gateway to the Montenegrin mountains due to its easy rail and road connections. Stations like this always has me wondering, who are the passengers using it? The line constantly passes from tunnel to a bridge and back into a tunnel. And there's also plenty of these snowfall and rockfall protection roofs. And the scenery just keeps changing. 1 minute you're in a tunnel and the next minute you pop out to views like this. I can also imagine this being really pretty in winter with a lot of snow. Like, this is why rail travel is so great. You're in the comfort of your own private cabin, just watching the scenery pass by, and you don't even have to worry about driving or stressing through an airport. At Lutovo we were stopped for a few minutes to wait for a local train to pass us. The line is mostly single-tracked, so this happens quite a bit, depending on how much freight traffic is also going on. And shortly afterwards, we were on our way again. We are now on our way towards what's probably the most well-known landmark of this route, the highest and longest bridge, the Mala Rijeka Viaduct. We emerge from a tunnel directly onto the viaduct. It's almost 500 meters long, and at its highest point sits 200 meters above the Mala Rijeka river, which made it the highest railway bridge in the world until 2001, when the Chinese built one that was higher. It's impressive what you could do with some concrete and steel back in 1973. After the viaduct, we are dropping altitude to follow the river towards Podgorica. On the outskirts of Podgorica, we join with the railway line from Nikšić, which is the only other line in Montenegro currently seeing passenger service, apart from the one we are on. And here we are arriving into the main station at Podgorica, which is the capital of Montenegro. The city is home to about 190,000 people, which is about 30% of the entire population. The city is located in the Zeta Valley, nestled in between mountains around all the sides. As we arrived, there was a train to Nikšić waiting to depart. They seem to have held this connection for the arrival of our train that was delayed by over an hour at this point. And after the stop here, we begin the final leg of our journey. The last run down to the beaches on the Adriatic Coast by Bara. I'm not a huge fan of the station building here, but it certainly beats Belgrade. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. We are now making our way through the valley. And from here on it would seem that all the level crossings broke. But we can just roll past them like this. And just as I thought we had left the thunderstorms behind us in the mountains, they came back. The rain was quickly gone, and after that the heat really kicked in. From now on it turned into a lovely 30-degree summer day. And now we are about to pass through the tunnel that will take us from the Zeta Valley onto the Adriatic Coast. The first stop on the coast is Sutomar, which is one of the many coastal towns in Montenegro with a lovely waterfront filled with shops, restaurants and bars. There's also good connections by bus and road from here to places like Budva and Kotor. After that, we have a short run along the coast before we start approaching Bar. So what does a trip like this cost? Well, it's a bit complicated depending on what class you want to travel in, but the base fare is 21 euros, and then you gotta add 3 euros for a seat, 6 euros if you want a couchette, 15 euros for 3 people in a sleeper, 20 for 2, and 45 if you want the whole thing to yourself like I did. So for me, that gave me a total of 66 euros for a private sleeper and the trip itself. 66 euros is a little expensive for a night train in the Balkans, but considering it's one of Europe's most scenic railways, and what you're paying for a hotel on the beach in Montenegro, I found the value to be absolutely fine. And if you're a railway geek like me, this is one of the train journeys you just have to take, so if it costs 66 euros, that's fine. While the wagons are old, they are perfectly fine to sleep in, and I got a good night of sleep. I wish they would retrofit them with power outlets, so you don't have to rely on power banks for a journey like this. Obviously the train wasn't on time, but this is the Balkans, you just have to expect that. But all in all, this has been one of my favorite rail journeys of all time, and I cannot stress how wonderful the scenery is. I really hope to do it again one day. And now as I exit the train, it's my time to remind you that if you have enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you liked it, and if you want to see more, please hit the subscribe button. I also have a Twitter account you can follow, where I post my travels in real time. Thanks for watching.